Story 1. I know that observers aren't encouraged to post here under many circumstances, but please bear with me. When I, 57 male, was in my mid-20s, the big family secret that I uncovered was that I was the result of my mother's affair. Her husband divorced her, she married her AP, my father, then a year later he left. I never knew him. For my young life before going out on my own, I mostly lived with my grandmother. My mother blamed me for the failure of her first marriage and later kept saying that I was the reason that she could never find a good man. She hammered it into me that men were trash, and that I would be trash because I would become a man, and she regretted me being born. Despite all of my familial baggage, I've made my way in the world, have been in a loving relationship with my wife for nearly 38 years, have an amazing family, and broke the cycle of poverty that my much of extended family remains trapped into this very day. Affairs have consequences. Sometimes those consequences result in a new life. While I would never condone cheating, I don't regret being born and in my own way, believe that I have made a positive difference in this world. For those who are trying to heal from the destructiveness of infidelity and looking to save your relationship or forgive your wayward, I wish for nothing more than your happiness. Looking back as a wiser man, I wish that my mother had found her peace. It haunts me that she passed away such a tormented soul. I may never come to peace with my origins, but my mother and I reconciled before she passed away, and I am thankful to have been her caregiver during her final months. I've tried to post something like this here before but wasn't sure if I should. Thank you for this space. I think it's great you decided to post here despite it being slightly coloring outside the mod's lines. And I think generally the observers thing is more about discouraging people who aren't experiencing infidelity fallout from commenting in totally unhelpful ways on people's posts. But yeah, your commentary is relevant and is kind of a nice departure from the usual on this sub, despite the recounting of your childhood immediate family unit dissolving being sad to hear. I think what's encouraging about what you've said is that you've stopped the toxicity of these things from reaching your own family you created and built up, ended that cycle. I do think infidelity, like other types of mistreatment, can mirror itself in successive generations, and it probably takes a lot to subconsciously push that narrative away and not carry it into the present. So glad to hear that you feel supported and loved by your family, and that you have an amazing partner. We all deserve that. Thank you so much for your comment. You're right, we all deserve an amazing partner. It is hard for me to say how much she's meant to me over the years. Her family is so different from mine, no yelling, no hitting, no mistreatment, etc. Her family is my family, and all of these decades later she remains my favorite and most loved person in this world. I truly love and cherish my forever person, but according to my mother, that wasn't possible. It took a while, but realizing how toxic my mother was helped me to forge the healthy relationship that I have had with my wife for decades. One time my mother told my wife how she didn't realize how lucky her life was, and my wife told my mother that it wasn't luck, she just chose to love the right man. I love my wife. A child never asked to be born, even if from an affair the child is never to blame. I am so sorry your mother put all that men are bad stuff on you because you didn't deserve it. She's blame shifting her actions into her ex-husband and affair partner. When she was the one who broke her vows, she still projected the blame onto them, and eventually you, which is wrong. She clearly never owned her actions or took responsibility. I'm glad you broke the cycle and still built a healthy marriage despite your mother's failings. Wishing you happiness. My mother was definitely someone to project blame, no doubt. I've done my best to insulate my family from all of it, and have the most amazing wife. My wife was appalled by how my family treated me when she first met them. She's from a leave it to beaver kind of family. I have established a different normal for myself and our children. My grandmother is an angel for how she guided me on the path of being a self-sufficient grown-up and a gentleman with women. Which, by the way, won my wife over the first time we met. LOL. Well done, sir. Your post belongs here as much as anyone else who has dealt with infidelity. I'm glad you posted and show that with determination and character, you can overcome anything. So she cheated, then blamed you for getting pregnant with you, and you're the reason her relationships ended. Bro, I'm sorry you had to deal with that, but is it possible your mother may have had undiagnosed mental issues? Much later in her life, she was diagnosed and got treatment for several issues. It's a big part of how we were able to reconcile. She was almost desperate to have a relationship with me and my family once she was treated. In fact, she told my wife how lucky she was to have such a good man in her life. I never disliked my mother, but it was only with time did I understand that she had issues that would have been addressed today, but 50 years ago wouldn't have been. This reminds me so much of my cousin's situation. She had an affair and divorced her first husband, and father of her first daughter, for AP. She got pregnant by him twice and gave him kids, only for him to cheat and impregnate her own sister with triplets. He kicked her out of his house, with all her kids as well, and then moved the sister in. She tried, demanded will be more accurate, to get back with her ex-husband. He refused. She is now blaming her kids from her second husband for why her first husband won't give her a second chance, and not because she cheated and left him. Worse, when she find out that her second husband and her sister are expecting again and that her first husband was engaged to younger and more beautiful woman who was also expecting, she went through the roof. She called both men and blamed them for all the bad things that are happening to her, telling them that they cursed her. Yep, that actually happened. Apparently they both laughed at her before ending the call. Knowing all of this, I can safely admit that my cousin is a foolish, sorry but it's true. She blames everyone but herself for her own mistakes and bad decisions, or the fallouts from them. That being said, OP, I have a few questions for you. Do you have any brothers or sisters, or half-siblings? And if yes, what was the relationship between you? Also, were there any attempts from your mother to get back with her first husband? It might be one of the reasons why you were treated so badly for so long, aside from the ones already you mentioned. Do you have any brothers or sisters, or half-siblings? And if yes, what was the relationship between you? Also, were there any attempts from your mother to get back with her first husband? After she divorced her first husband, my mother married my father, but it lasted less than a year. She got pregnant during that time with my sister, the main reason he left. I had a half-brother from a later relationship, but tragically he took his own life years ago. I hope that you know in your heart of hearts that you are not to blame for any of the dysfunction in your family. All children are innocent and deserve love and nurturing. I think so highly of friends who have recognized that the children of their WP affair partner deserve kindness and love. Affairs have far-reaching consequences. The most painful and unjust consequence is the damage and dysfunction it brings to the lives of the children involved. While not a child of an affair, I know the pain of growing up in a dysfunctional home with two parents who often projected their abhorrence of each other onto me. It takes a lot of effort and emotional fortitude to parent yourself and change generational patterns of dysfunction. Sending love and peace to you. Looking back, it is so easy to see so many issues, but at the time, as a kid, I had no idea what was going on other than we lived in subsidized housing, had to go to the food stamp office once a month, and on the weekends I had to stay in my room at night. Later I realized it was because of the men my mother was bringing home. I know that I'm not the blame for any of it, but I am so thankful for the people in my life who helped me to break out of the hellscape that defines so much of my childhood before moving in with my grandmother. Have you ever reached out to your biological father? You may well have half-siblings. As an observer flare, I can only say I wish subs like this existed 16 years ago when I was surviving infidelity. Turned out to be the best thing to ever happen to me. I'm happy married with 2 beautiful children. He is long past. I met him once after all of the news broke about my true background. He was wheelchair bound and in very bad health. He was married to an hooch dependent, and a heavy drinker himself. I noped out of all of that after only one visit. Frankly, I think I am better off for not having him in my life. Oof. That was a hard read. I can't imagine growing up and being repeatedly blamed for things that you had no hand in. It sounds like your mom was looking to blame everyone else. Glad you made it through okay. Hindsight is everything. I had no idea about infidelity or blame or any of it. Today I understand, and yes, she was the blame everyone for her problems type of person. Your story gives hope and encouragement. Even though you came from a bad situation, you did not let it define you. Rather, you choose to live life honorably, break the toxicity, and even became a bigger person by understanding and forgiving the person who mistreated you. Thank you for sharing your story, OP. Wish you all the best in life. Worldwide comments of the day. I couldn't picture living the rest of their lives being on high alert whenever there is a family interaction. She's not attracted to him, but she can see the potential to develop feelings for him. What a big pile of BS. She has feelings for him, and that realization, ha ha ha, something happened, more than just a chat. I feel so bad for guys in the military. They almost always get cheated on. I hope he keeps his eyes fully open. This sounds like a recipe for disaster. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more interesting and relatable Reddit videos.